Welcome to Miyconst hardware. Some of you probably can recognize this tiny i7 chassis that I used in my previous video where I attempted to make a tiny gaming computer with i3-12100 and Nvidia RTX 3060. I plan to use this as my home theater PC and a gaming PC attached to my TV. Unfortunately, that did not happen because this chassis is just way too small and cooling is a real challenge. When I use this chassis without the side panels and standing on top of my desk, it does not cause any problems, but as soon as I close the side panels and put the computer somewhere behind my TV or inside my locker close to the TV, it just overheats and there is no way this computer can be used. First it's getting really noisy and then it eventually crashes. Furthermore, I have also discovered that my Chinese TF Skymind international power supply that I originally used in this PC went kaboom and started to produce some sparks. So the project was cancelled and this chassis was lying on my shelf for a very long time until I have finally figured out what I could do with it. Fortunately or unfortunately, I also have got the Tesla P4 lying on my shelf with no use. Additionally, I had some laptop DDR3 memory and i7-4770, so I thought that I could put everything together. But the problem was the motherboard. Mini IDX motherboards for the old LGA 1150 socket are rather expensive on the second-hand market, but eventually I found a bizarre option on eBay. The motherboard I found is probably from an old ATM machine because it has very weird layout and very weird connectivity, so it's definitely not from a desktop computer. Nevertheless, it matched my requirements, LG 1150 socket, DDR3 SODIMM slots, and I also have an mSATA slot to install an SSD drive so I can avoid these annoying SATA cables. I have no clue what I'm going to do with this computer, but my original idea was that I could use it for some sort of background tasks for video encoding, transcoding, and for some sort of AI processing, because Nvidia Tesla P4 is an Nvidia graphics card that has video encoder decoder, and it also has 8 gigs of video memory that shall be enough for some sort of stable diffusion workloads. But before I go into the test results, let's take a closer look of what we can find in this tiniest i7 chassis. Okay, now let's take a quick look on the inside of this mini computer. Here you can see this low profile Akasa CPU cooler. Then here I have mSATA SSD from AliExpress for 512 GB, and here I have 16 gigs of DDR3 1600 memory. These are laptop memory sticks because this mini IDX motherboard comes with SODIMM slots. The power supply is non-modular and the cables are rather thick, so I had to route it around motherboard over here and zip tie the CPU power cord over here. Then, unfortunately, the motherboard does not have USB 3.0 header for the front panel, and the USB 2 headers are using some sort of a reduced size headers, and they are not compatible with the standard cables with the standard cases. That's why I just removed this USB 3.0 cable for the front panel to get some extra space inside this chassis and be able to host all these power supply cables. But the most interesting part is on the other side of this mini computer, because on this side I have Nvidia Tesla P4 graphics card. As you can see, I have removed the front panel or the cover lid of the graphics card and didn't do anything extra. Here I have a connector of a fan splitter that is connected to the side panel fan I am gonna show you right over here. So I have mounted this knob to a fan on the side panel and it is getting attached like this, and then this little cord is getting connected to this connector, and this fan is good enough to keep this Tesla P4 under the normal temperatures to get it at full power before the temperature limit kicks in. For the power supply, I have got a rather good but not very powerful unit. It is Silverstone FX350G for 350 watts, but we have 80 plus gold certification. The power supply is withstanding the maximum load of this computer with no issues. Finally, let's take a quick look at the I/O of this motherboard. So over here we have DisplayPort, then we have eSATA port, we have 4 USB 3.0 ports, 2 Ethernet ports, we also have VGA and a COM port. So clearly this motherboard was used for something like an ATM and not a normal desktop computer. For the test results, I start with the Blender benchmark. Here, Tesla P4 is slightly faster than GTX 1060 6GB. Monster test 238 against 188 points, Junk Shop 147 against 129 points, and Classroom 119 against 100 points. So in total we have 504 against 417 points. The next benchmark is Topaz Video AI. Here I test 480 by 360 resolution, or so-called 360p. The results are the following: 1397 against 1548 FPS, 1377 against 1471 FPS, and 532 against 612 FPS. So in this test, 1060 6GB is faster than Tesla P4. Another AI benchmark is Stable Diffusion, and here I render an image 512 by 512 pixels. Tesla P4 consumes about 20 seconds to complete the task, while GTX 1060 completes the task in just 12 seconds. So here again we can see that a simple GTX 1060 is a better suited graphics card for AI-like workloads. The last test is Puget Systems DaVinci Resolve, and here 1060 and Tesla P4 are very similar as well. In 4K media score we have 26 against 30 points, GPU effects score 41 against 31 points, and Fusion score 141 against 133 points. In general, in some cases Tesla P4 will be slightly faster, in other cases GTX 1060 will be slightly faster. Additionally, I have to mention that the GTX 1060 results were taken from the internet. Unfortunately, I do not have any 1060s on my hands right now, thus I had to search online, but I tried to use only reputable sources. For the conclusion, I don't even know how to finish this video, because even though I'm happy that I have got all my parts that were lying on the shelves together into some sort of a working machine, and I also enjoy the process of building this computer and seeing how it comes to life when all the pieces come together, and the Tesla P4 working on this bizarre motherboard and all of that stuff, so it was an interesting hobby project. But ultimately, I think this project has failed, because the performance of Tesla P4 is simply not enough for any sorts of AI workloads or video editing. Even though the graphics card has 8 gigs of video memory, that's not enough to generate big stable diffusion images, and video editing performance, for example with the DaVinci Resolve, is rather pathetic. Just like Tesla P4, i7-4770 is a very old and a rather slow CPU by the modern standards. If you would want to build something like this, then I would strongly recommend you to go with i3-12100 or i3-13100. Yes, the total build cost will be way much higher, but at least you will get a working machine that can really perform and really do the tasks you want. Additionally to the performance issues, we also have overheating issues. Even though i7-4770 and Tesla P4 do not overheat because these both are rather efficient, the fans still have to spin up rather fast, and that's rather noisy and rather annoying. So if you plan to have something under your desk which would silently do some background tasks for you, that's obviously not an option. I would strongly recommend to pick a properly sized mini ITX or micro ATX chassis with proper cooling, install their high-quality fans such as Noctua or Be Quiet, and enjoy silent operation of your background server, even though it may consume 2 or 3 times more space than this tiny little machine. With this, I have to say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and even though the test results are rather disappointing and not very rich, I hope I have helped someone. So bye for now and see you in the next videos.